when we end up not having that kind of relationship to a community, we are really foregoing and bypassing that potential that's out there. How big it is, I don't know, because I'm not sure that any orchestra has really tested this concept or idea very well. They haven't.
But do you know who has, in a certain way? The Metropolitan Opera.
Mm-hmm.
Because since Peter Gelb has taken over that institution, they are visible around New York in ways that they never were before, in part by putting a video screen in Times Square that showed, for anybody who wanted to come and watch, their opening night production, by going into movie theaters, not just in New York, but around the country and now internationally, by getting into the gossip columns, by having celebrities at their opening. They are now talked about. New York Magazine has sort of snarky feature called the approval matrix, where they slot different events on a scale of highbrow, lowbrow, brilliant, despicable. And the Met very often is getting into the highbrow, brilliant part of that.
Right.
And that gets people talking about them. That has led to all of these things together have led to an increase in ticket sales. I've heard the number is something like 10%.
Right.
The Met actually has advertised for the last week of the season that all the productions are sold out. Their ad in the Times says every single performance is sold out, so buy your tickets for next year.
Right.
This creating a buzz is worth its weight in diamonds for their future.
You know, and I think the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra is also, through its process of moving into the community in a more forceful way, having lower price subscriptions, encouraging people to donate the difference between old pricing and current. They have managed to transform people from single ticket buyers to subscribers who contribute. And to me, that is, you know, whether people believe that that's a path to success, I'm not sure there's another one that I've seen.
Right.
And so therefore, you know, in my mind, that model has got the highest economic leverage of any model I've yet looked at in terms of what can fund the industry.
And you know what else? I like it that we're ending on some high notes here. Yeah. I'm still thinking about my dream of the New York Philharmonic building bases in neighborhoods around the New York City. And so then I asked, well, are the people there going to be able to give as much money as the traditional donors? Let's not forget that there is money in minority communities. It's ridiculous to assume that the African American community, the Hispanic community, the Chinese community, the Korean community, that there aren't people with a lot of money there. But there is no way that they get woven into the fabric of the Philharmonic at this point.
Right.
So once you start doing these things, you open doors that whose value is incalculable.
You know, this to me, and I know we're sort of ending time-wise here, I guess there's one other thing I would add to this. I believe that these problems are so difficult and complex that they cannot be solved by staff groups alone. They can't be solved by a few musicians being involved in the ASOL. These problems must be solved at multiple levels and addressed. They have to be solved at a national level between the AFM, ASOL, and other organizations that operate nationally. They have to be solved at a community level. They have to be solved at a regional level. And that requires, in my view, a completely different relationship between musicians, boards, staffs, music directors, soloists, and the public. I don't think any of these problems are going to be solved by single orchestras trying to figure out a path that works for them.
And you know what a model here is for me? Global warming and the environment.
Yeah.
Everybody is now asking, what can I do? What can my company do?
Right.
And we're seeing wonderful solutions that individuals and companies do, even if it's just installing fluorescent lights instead of your incandescent ones. So, supposing all the orchestra constituencies that you were talking about start addressing what I see as a large cultural problem, and they are saying, our relationship to the community and the culture at large has to be different from what it was.
Right.
So now, You, Midori, are coming to be a soloist with us. What are you going to do? Actually, that's a good example because she does a great deal in the community.
Right.
But you ask that of everybody involved.
Absolutely.
And now you start finding some solutions,
Right.
and you begin transforming what you do. But you will not find the answer by just trying to tweak the conventional
Absolutely.
arrangements.
I agree. And in my mind, I don't think the solutions are known, but I don't think they will become known or found
Until we start looking for them.
and until we
and
do
doing
it,
them.
and until we do it together.
Yes.
I mean, so if I were to leave on any note, the relationship at a local level, regional level, and national level, in my mind, has to change and be far more cooperative. We have to jointly approach this as though the field has significant problems that need to be solved by all of us together. And that's going to require sacrifice on some parties' parts, and it's going to require innovation on everybody's part. And I don't think otherwise that we're going to find a path that's going to address the kinds of topics we've talked about today.
And so on this note, we can end. I will look, instead of looking at you, I'm going to look at the camera. I'm going to look at the people who are watching this, and I'm going to say, what are you going to do?